Are you tired of feeling weighed down by life's stresses and aches? Ever wonder why inner peace seems so out of reach, no matter how hard you try? What if you could tap into an age-old path, rooted in wisdom and compassion, to truly heal and feel whole again? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get lost in a whirlwind of worries and expectations. We often turn to quick fixes, only to find that the relief is temporary, leaving us searching for more. Imagine if there was a way to heal naturally, without relying on anything outside yourself, that could transform not only how you feel but how you see the world around you. For instance, think about a typical day. You might wake up feeling tense or anxious, rushing through tasks without a moment to breathe. You might react to little irritations, feeling trapped in a cycle that seems impossible to break. But what if you could shift this experience entirely? Imagine facing each day with calmness, resilience, and a sense of purpose. This is what natural healing through Buddhist insights is all about. Transforming from within to find peace, strength, and joy, even in the midst of life's challenges. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we bring timeless Buddhist insights that you can use to heal yourself naturally. Before we dive deep, we'd love to have you join our community. Did you know there are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% have subscribed? If you're finding value here, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay connected with us. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference. In this journey to healing, we'll explore practices and perspectives that empower you to take charge of your own well-being. We're not talking about shortcuts or surface-level changes, but about understanding the roots of your experiences and finding ways to cultivate genuine happiness and health. As we dive into these ideas, you'll learn how inner awareness, compassion, and mindfulness can open the door to a healthier, happier life. This series will guide you through practical steps and thoughtful reflections to naturally heal, connect with your inner self, and bring balance to your everyday life. Understanding the roots of suffering. Life is filled with moments of joy, but it is also full of pain, confusion, and suffering. But why does suffering exist? And, more importantly, how can we begin to understand it so we can heal from it naturally? These are the questions that Buddhism encourages us to explore, not just in our minds, but deeply within ourselves. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering is attachment. This may sound simple, but it's something that affects every part of our lives. Think about it. We attach ourselves to ideas, to people, to success, to material things, and even to our own beliefs about who we are. We think that by holding on tightly to these things, we will feel secure, loved, and happy. But, as we've all experienced at some point, this attachment only brings us more pain. When we attach to something, we create expectations. And when those expectations are not met, we feel disappointed, frustrated, and upset. Take, for example, a day that doesn't go as planned. You might have expected everything to go smoothly. Perhaps you had a meeting that didn't go well or a personal relationship that didn't meet your needs. The anger, frustration, and sadness that follow are all rooted in attachment. Attachment to the way you thought things should have been. But what if, instead of reacting to these situations with frustration, you could respond with peace and understanding? This is where the Buddhist practice of mindfulness comes in. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to notice the moment without judgment. Instead of automatically reacting, we can pause and observe our feelings and thoughts without identifying with them. We begin to see that suffering arises not from the situation itself, but from our attachment to how things should have been. The Buddha also taught that suffering comes from craving, desiring things we don't have, or fearing the loss of things we love. Our minds constantly crave more success, more recognition, more pleasure. At the same time, we fear losing what we already have, whether it's material possessions, relationships, or even our own identity. This craving creates an endless cycle of desire and fear, which keeps us trapped in suffering. When we crave something, we create a gap between where we are and where we want to be. This gap is where dissatisfaction lives. We are constantly striving to fill this gap, thinking that once we get what we want, we will be happy. But the truth is, the moment we get what we want, we quickly begin craving something else. It's a never-ending cycle. Let's take a simple example. You might crave the perfect job, thinking that once you land it, your life will be complete. You get the job, and for a while, you feel good. But soon, the novelty wears off, and you begin to crave something else, a promotion, more recognition, or even a new career path. The job you once thought would bring you happiness now feels like just another step in an endless race. Understanding this craving is essential to healing. By recognizing that our suffering is linked to craving, we can begin to let go of the endless cycle. We can shift from living in constant wanting to learning how to be content with what we have right now. This is where Buddhist teachings guide us towards contentment and peace, not by getting more, but by desiring less and appreciating what is already present. Another key teaching of the Buddha is that suffering arises from ignorance. This ignorance is not about lacking knowledge in the traditional sense, but about a lack of understanding of the true nature of reality. We live much of our lives unaware of the impermanence of all things. We believe that everything, including ourselves, is permanent and unchanging. But the truth is, nothing in life stays the same. Everything is in constant flux. When we fail to see the impermanence of life, we try to hold on to things, hoping that they will never change. But change is the nature of existence. The person you were yesterday is not the person you are today. Your relationships, your health, and your circumstances, everything is subject to change. Understanding this impermanence allows us to stop clinging to things as though they will always be there. It helps us let go and begin to appreciate life for what it is, rather than what we wish it could be. At its core, the Buddhist teachings on suffering encourage us to face life as it truly is, not as we wish it to be, but as it is in this very moment. When we begin to see the world with clear eyes, we can start to understand that suffering is not something that is happening to us. It is something we create with our minds through attachment, craving, and ignorance. This understanding is the first step toward healing. When we see the root causes of our suffering, we no longer need to be afraid of it. We can begin to heal by simply acknowledging that these feelings are temporary and that they do not define us. We can learn to sit with our pain, not as something to avoid, but as something to understand. As we let go of attachment and craving, we create space for peace, acceptance, and healing. Buddhism offers us practical tools to begin this healing process, and the first tool is mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us become aware of the present moment without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we can observe our thoughts, feelings, and reactions as they arise, without getting caught up in them. We can begin to break the cycle of attachment and craving by simply noticing when we are doing it. This awareness is the key to breaking free from the root causes of suffering. As you continue to explore these teachings, remember that healing is not an overnight process. It's a journey, a gradual unfolding of understanding and self-compassion. By taking small steps every day, you can begin to heal naturally, allowing the wisdom of Buddhism to guide you toward a life of peace, balance, and freedom from suffering. So, the next time you face a difficult situation, instead of reacting with frustration or fear, pause. Ask yourself, what am I attached to here? What am I craving? Recognize that these feelings are not permanent. They are simply the result of the mind's habits. With practice, you will learn to respond to life's challenges with mindfulness, understanding, and ultimately, with peace. The power of mindfulness and awareness. Imagine waking up in the morning. Your mind is already filled with thoughts. What needs to be done today? The things that went wrong yesterday, the worry about tomorrow. Before you even step out of bed, your mind is already running, pulling you in different directions. How often does this happen to you? In the rush of daily life, it's easy to forget that we have the ability to control how we respond to everything around us. We react without thinking, getting caught up in the noise, the stress, in the distractions. But what if there was a way to step back from all this chaos? What if, instead of reacting to life, you could respond to it with clarity and calm? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment. It means paying attention to what is happening right now, without judgment or distraction. Instead of living in the past or worrying about the future, mindfulness teaches you to focus on the present moment, to observe your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without getting lost in them. It's about experiencing life as it is, with all its beauty and challenges, but without letting it control you. In Buddhism, mindfulness is considered one of the most powerful tools for healing. It allows you to become aware of your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations, and helps you recognize how these things affect your overall well-being. Often, we go through life on autopilot, reacting to situations without truly understanding why we feel a certain way. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to see things clearly, as they are, and we become more aware of how our reactions shape our experiences. This awareness is the first step towards healing. For example, think about a situation where you're feeling angry. Maybe someone said something that upset you, and your first instinct is to react, perhaps with words, maybe even with anger of your own. But when you practice mindfulness, you notice the feeling of anger as it arises. You become aware of how your body feels. Maybe your chest tightens, or your breath becomes shallow. Instead of reacting right away, mindfulness helps you pause and ask, what is really going on here? Why am I feeling this way? By simply noticing the emotion without judgment, you create space between the trigger and your response. This space allows you to make a more thoughtful choice, whether that's to let the anger go or to express yourself calmly. This ability to pause and observe is powerful. It gives you control over your thoughts and actions, rather than being controlled by them. The more you practice mindfulness, the more natural it becomes to respond with awareness instead of reacting out of habit or emotion. Over time, this practice can transform how you deal with stress, how you interact with others, and how you approach every moment of your life. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting quietly in meditation, although that's an important part of it. It's also about being mindful in your daily activities. Whether you're eating, walking, working, or having a conversation, you can practice mindfulness by simply being present. When you eat, notice the taste, texture, and smell of your food. When you walk, feel each step as your foot touches the ground. When you talk to someone, listen fully, without planning your response while they're speaking. These simple acts of mindfulness can help you connect more deeply with your life and with others, leading to a more peaceful, balanced state of mind. Buddhism teaches that mindfulness is not just about individual healing. It's also about understanding the interconnectedness of all things. When we are mindful, we begin to see how our thoughts and actions affect not only ourselves, but also the world around us. This is why mindfulness is such an important part of healing. It helps us break free from the cycle of suffering and move toward a more compassionate, harmonious way of living. But mindfulness isn't always easy. Our minds are often busy, jumping from one thought to the next. We get distracted by our emotions, our desires, and the constant flow of information around us. The practice of mindfulness is about gently bringing ourselves back to the present moment, again and again, without judgment. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Every time you notice that your mind has wandered and you bring it back to the present, you're strengthening your ability to be mindful. In Buddhism, there's a saying, the mind is like a wild monkey, always jumping from thought to thought. This metaphor shows how difficult it can be to quiet the mind and focus. But just like taming a wild monkey, the practice of mindfulness takes time, patience, and dedication. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to remain present, and the more benefits you'll experience. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is its ability to help you become aware of your inner world. It allows you to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them, to notice your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This awareness creates a sense of space between you and your emotions. Instead of being controlled by anger, fear, or anxiety, you learn to acknowledge these feelings and let them pass. It's like watching clouds float by in the sky. You don't try to hold on to them or change them. You simply notice them and let them go. This awareness also helps you understand the nature of your suffering. In Buddhism, suffering is seen as an inherent part of life. But suffering doesn't have to define you. Through mindfulness, you can gain insight into the causes of your suffering, whether it's your attachment to things, your aversion to change, or your fear of the unknown. By understanding the root causes of your suffering, you can begin to release them and free yourself from their hold. Another important aspect of mindfulness is self-compassion. As you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, you might notice patterns of self-criticism or judgment. You might find that you're hard on yourself when things go wrong, or when you make mistakes. Mindfulness helps you become aware of these negative self-talk patterns and teaches you to respond with kindness and understanding rather than judgment. This self-compassion is an essential part of healing, as it helps you cultivate a sense of love and acceptance toward yourself, exactly as you are. Mindfulness also helps you develop a deeper connection with your body. Often, we live so much in our heads, thinking and analyzing, that we forget to listen to our bodies. Yet, our bodies hold so much wisdom. They tell us when we're tired, when we're stressed, and when something isn't quite right. By practicing mindfulness, you become more attuned to your body signals, allowing you to take better care of yourself and respond to your physical needs more effectively. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you may also start to notice a shift in your perception of the world. Instead of seeing life as a series of problems to solve or obstacles to overcome, you may begin to see it as a continuous flow of experiences to be lived fully. Mindfulness allows you to appreciate the beauty in small moments, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds singing, the feeling of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. These moments of awareness bring a deep sense of peace and contentment, helping you feel more connected to yourself and to the world around you. In the end, mindfulness is a tool for healing because it helps you reconnect with your true nature. It reminds you that, at the core, you are already whole, already complete. Through mindfulness, you learn to let go of the things that cause suffering, your fears, your attachments, your judgments, and embrace the present moment with an open heart and mind. This simple, yet profound practice can help you heal on every level, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, bringing you closer to the peace and well-being that you deserve. The role of compassion in self-healing. Imagine a world where everyone acts with kindness, where every word, every action is filled with compassion. What would that world look like? Would it be more peaceful, less tense? Would you feel more at ease, more accepted? Compassion is one of the most powerful tools we have in our journey toward healing, not just for others, but for ourselves. But what does it truly mean to be compassionate? And why is it so vital for healing naturally, especially when we're facing pain, disappointment, or frustration? In the teachings of Buddhism, compassion is not just about being kind to others. It's about recognizing suffering, both our own and that of others, and responding with a heart that seeks to alleviate that suffering. The Dalai Lama often speaks about compassion being at the core of our human nature. It's not something we have to learn from scratch, but something we need to remember, nurture, and express. We all have the capacity for compassion. It's a natural part of our being, like a seed waiting to sprout, but often it's buried under the weight of our own worries, judgments, and distractions. The first step in cultivating compassion is recognizing our own suffering. We often overlook our pain, brushing it off or hiding it behind distractions. But healing cannot begin until we acknowledge what hurts, what causes us to feel lost, anxious, or overwhelmed. Compassion starts by recognizing that we, too, are worthy of kindness. In Buddhism, there is a practice known as self-compassion, the act of offering ourselves the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a friend. It's the gentle reminder that it's okay to feel pain, and it's okay to need healing. We don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's our imperfections that make us human and capable of connecting with others who also suffer. When we practice compassion toward ourselves, we begin to soften the harshness of self-judgment. Many of us hold ourselves to impossible standards, believing that we must always be strong, always be perfect. But perfection is a myth. We are all imperfect beings, and that's what makes us relatable, human, and connected. Compassion invites us to release the pressure of being flawless and instead embrace our flaws with love. It invites us to let go of the inner critic and replace it with the soothing voice of kindness. The next step in this journey is extending that compassion outward. It's easy to feel compassion for ourselves when we are suffering, but what about when we are in a conflict with someone else, or when others around us are behaving in ways that upset or frustrate us? True compassion means looking at others and seeing their pain. It means recognizing that everyone, just like us, carries burdens and struggles. Often, the way people act is a reflection of their own suffering. When we can see beyond the behavior and recognize the human being beneath, it becomes easier to respond with kindness instead of anger or judgment. Buddhist teachings encourage us to practice loving kindness, known as metta in Pali, not just towards those we love, but towards all beings. It is about developing a heart that wishes for others to be free from suffering and to experience happiness, regardless of their actions or beliefs. This doesn't mean we have to agree with everything someone does, but it means acknowledging their humanity and offering them the same compassion we would hope to receive ourselves. One of the most powerful ways compassion helps in self-healing is by breaking the cycle of negativity. When we experience pain, it's easy to spiral into feelings of anger, resentment, or helplessness. These emotions keep us stuck in a loop, constantly feeding our suffering. Compassion acts like a gentle light that cuts through this darkness. By choosing to respond to our suffering and the suffering of others with kindness, we begin to shift the energy from one of conflict and resistance to one of acceptance and healing. Compassion also helps us to heal emotionally by helping us let go of grudges. Holding on to anger or resentment is like carrying a heavy weight. It drains our energy and keeps us tied to the past. But when we choose compassion, both for ourselves and for others, we release that weight. We forgive not because others necessarily deserve it, but because we deserve to be free of the burden of bitterness. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about releasing the hold that past pain has on us. It's a gift we give ourselves. In moments of emotional or physical pain, compassion invites us to slow down and listen. It encourages us to be present with what we're experiencing without rushing to fix or change it. Sometimes, the most healing thing we can do is simply acknowledge what we're feeling, without judgment, and sit with it for a while. Compassion asks us to treat our pain with the same care we would offer to a loved one who is suffering. Furthermore, when we begin to practice compassion, we notice a shift in how we see the world. Instead of seeing others through a lens of competition, jealousy, or fear, we begin to see them through the eyes of empathy. We understand that we are all connected in our shared human experience. Compassion allows us to see beyond the surface, beyond the labels and judgments we often place on people, to the deep, shared experience of being human. This kind of compassion doesn't just help us heal emotionally. It also has physical benefits. Research shows that when we act with compassion, it reduces stress and promotes feelings of well-being. Compassionate actions release hormones like oxytocin, often called the love hormone, which have a calming and healing effect on the body. When we practice compassion, our nervous system shifts from a state of fight or flight to one of rest and repair. Our bodies begin to heal, and our immune systems become stronger. The practice of compassion is also closely tied to the Buddhist principle of emptiness, the idea that we are not separate from others, but part of a larger, interconnected whole. This understanding helps us realize that when we extend compassion, we are also healing ourselves. Every act of kindness, every word of understanding, creates a ripple effect that not only soothes others, but also nourishes our own soul. Incorporating compassion into our lives requires intention. It's not something that just happens automatically. It's something we must cultivate through practice. It's about making the choice to act with love, even when it's difficult. It's about seeing the humanity in others, even when they've hurt us. Compassion asks us to step outside of our egos and connect with the deeper truth that we are all in this together. In conclusion, compassion is one of the most powerful forces for healing, both for ourselves and for others. It allows us to embrace our pain, let go of judgment, and connect with the world around us in a way that promotes peace and healing. By practicing compassion, we begin to heal naturally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. It's a practice that, when nurtured, becomes a part of who we are, transforming not only our own lives but the lives of everyone we touch. Inner peace through meditation. In the midst of the noise of our daily lives, the one thing that remains constant is the mind. It's constantly moving, constantly thinking, constantly reacting. If you stop and pay attention for just a moment, you'll realize how busy your mind is all the time. It's filled with worries about the future, regrets from the past, and endless distractions. But what if there was a way to quiet that constant chatter? What if there was a way to find peace within, no matter what is happening around you? That's where meditation comes in. Meditation, in its simplest form, is the practice of training the mind. It's like going to the gym for your brain. Just as your body needs exercise to stay healthy and strong, your mind needs the practice of meditation to stay clear, focused, and calm. It's a way of creating space between you and the chaos that surrounds you. Through meditation, you can start to notice your thoughts without getting caught up in them. You can step back, observe them, and let them pass by, like clouds drifting across the sky. Many people believe that meditation is a difficult practice, something only for monks or deeply spiritual people. But in reality, anyone can meditate. It doesn't require special skills, expensive tools, or a lot of time. You don't have to sit in a special position or chant for hours. Meditation can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to sit in silence, focus on your breath, and let go of the constant stream of thoughts that fill your mind. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is the root of all suffering, but it is also the source of all peace. When the mind is calm, clear, and present, we are more able to experience the world as it truly is, free from the distortions of fear, anger, and attachment. Meditation helps us return to that state of clarity and peace. It brings us back to the present moment, where life is happening right now, not in some imagined future or some remembered past. The key to meditation is not in trying to stop your thoughts. That's impossible. Thoughts will always come and go, just like the waves of the ocean. The goal is not to block them out, but to become aware of them without becoming attached to them. When you sit down to meditate, you'll likely notice that your mind is racing at first. You may feel restless, distracted, or even frustrated. This is normal. The mind has been running on autopilot for so long that it's hard to slow down. But with consistent practice, the mind begins to settle, and you begin to feel a sense of peace that wasn't there before. One of the most powerful meditation practices in Buddhism is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to stay fully present in whatever you are doing, whether it's eating, walking, working, or even just breathing. When you practice mindfulness, you bring your full attention to the present moment, letting go of distractions and focusing on what's happening right here, right now. In doing so, you create a deep sense of calm and clarity. You realize that everything you need is already within you. All the peace, all the strength, all the wisdom. It's already there, waiting for you to access it. Another key aspect of meditation is loving kindness or metta. In Buddhism, metta is the practice of sending love and goodwill to yourself and others. It begins with cultivating a deep sense of kindness and compassion for yourself. When we are at peace with ourselves, it becomes easier to be at peace with others. Meditation helps us open our hearts and minds to love. And when we practice loving kindness, we naturally heal ourselves and those around us. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of everyday life, to think that there's always something more to do, more to achieve, more to worry about. But the truth is, when we take the time to pause, to sit in stillness, we realize that everything we need is already here. We don't need to search for peace outside ourselves. It is available in every moment through the simple act of being present. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. What's important is that you make the effort to practice regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. It doesn't matter if you sit cross-legged or lie down, if you close your eyes or keep them open. What matters is that you bring your attention to the present moment without judgment, without expectation. Over time, meditation becomes a natural part of your life. It's not something you do, but something you become. You'll find that your reactions to life's challenges start to change. When you're calm and centered, things that once would have triggered anger or frustration no longer have the same hold on you. You begin to respond from a place of peace, not from the chaos of your mind. You learn to let go of things that don't serve you, and you start to appreciate the little moments that make life beautiful. Meditation is not just for healing the mind, it's for healing the body as well. Stress is one of the leading causes of physical illness, and meditation is one of the most powerful tools for reducing stress. When we are stressed, our bodies tense up, our breathing becomes shallow, and we start to feel disconnected from ourselves. But when we meditate, we learn to relax, to slow down, and to connect with our breath. This relaxation has a profound effect on our health, improving everything from our immune system to our digestion. So how do you start? Find a quiet space where you can sit comfortably. You can use a cushion or a chair, whatever feels most natural. Close your eyes or keep them softly open. Take a deep breath and begin to notice the sensation of the air as it enters and leaves your body. Don't try to control your breath, just observe it. As you breathe, you may notice thoughts arising. That's okay. Just acknowledge them and let them go. Bring your attention back to your breath. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back. You can also try repeating a simple mantra, a word or phrase that brings you peace. You can say it silently to yourself as you breathe in and out. Start with just 5 minutes a day. It may feel challenging at first, but as with any practice, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over time, you'll begin to notice the subtle changes in your mind and body. You'll feel more grounded, more centered, and more at peace with yourself. Then that peace will naturally radiate out into the world around you. In Buddhism, meditation is considered the foundation of all spiritual practice. It's the tool that helps us understand our minds and hearts. It's the practice that brings us back to ourselves. When we make meditation a daily habit, we start to see life differently. We experience less stress, more joy, and a deeper sense of connection with ourselves and others. We begin to heal from the inside out, creating a life filled with peace, love, and clarity. Meditation is not just a practice, it's a way of life. It's a way of being in the world. Through meditation, you discover that you are not separate from the world around you. You are deeply connected to it. Your inner peace becomes the peace of the world. And when we all practice meditation, we create a world where peace is not just a dream, but a reality. Breaking free from attachment. In our lives, attachment often feels like a constant companion. We attach ourselves to things, people, and ideas, believing that these things define us or bring us lasting happiness. But what if the very things we cling to are the ones that cause us the most suffering? What if the path to true peace lies in letting go of the attachments that bind us? Attachment is a natural part of being human, but it's also one of the main causes of suffering, according to Buddhist teachings. When we become attached to something, whether it's an object, a relationship, or even a certain outcome, we start to depend on it for our happiness. We believe that without it, we cannot be whole. But life is unpredictable. Things change, and people come and go. When we attach too tightly, we set ourselves up for disappointment, loss, and frustration. To understand attachment more clearly, let's look at a simple example. Imagine you have a favorite cup, the one you drink your coffee from every morning. Over time, this cup becomes more than just a cup to you. It becomes a symbol of comfort, routine, and even happiness. One day, the cup slips from your hands and breaks. At that moment, you might feel a deep sense of loss, anger, or sadness. You might even feel like something has been taken away from you. But in reality, it's not the cup itself that causes the pain. It's your attachment to it. When we attach ourselves to things or ideas, we often forget that everything is impermanent. This is the fundamental teaching of Buddhism. Nothing lasts forever. The cup breaks. The season changes. People move on. Holding on to these attachments with tightness only leads to suffering. But this doesn't mean we should stop caring about things or stop loving people. It simply means we need to approach them with a different mindset, a mindset of acceptance and non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean we stop valuing the things or people in our lives. Rather, it means that we learn to appreciate them without holding on to them too tightly. We understand that everything is temporary, and that's okay. We let go of the need to control or possess, and instead, we enjoy the moments as they come without fear of losing them. Consider this. You can love a flower without clinging to it. You can appreciate its beauty, its fragrance, and its presence in the moment. But when the flower wilts or fades, you don't feel devastated because you know that life is always changing. This is the wisdom of non-attachment. It's the freedom that comes from letting go of the need to hold on to everything. But how do we break free from attachment? The first step is awareness. We need to notice when we're getting attached to something. Whether it's an object, a person, or even an idea. Are we clinging to something because we believe it defines us or brings us happiness? Or are we simply holding on because it gives us a sense of comfort or security? Once we become aware of our attachments, the next step is to practice mindfulness. When we experience attachment, we can take a moment to pause and breathe. We can observe our feelings without judgment and ask ourselves, why am I attached to this? What will happen if it's no longer in my life? This practice helps us create space between ourselves and our attachments, allowing us to see them for what they are, temporary and impermanent. The Buddha taught that attachment arises from our desires and cravings. We crave pleasure, security, and control, and we believe that certain things will give us these things. But the truth is that nothing can give us lasting happiness. Happiness isn't something that can be found outside of us. It's a state of mind, a way of being. When we stop chasing after things and start turning inward, we can find true peace. One of the key practices in breaking free from attachment is meditation. Meditation helps us connect with the present moment without judgment or expectation. When we sit quietly and observe our thoughts, we can begin to see how our minds cling to certain ideas, objects, and experiences. Meditation teaches us to let go of these attachments by bringing us back to the simple truth that everything is impermanent and everything comes and goes. Another important practice is cultivating gratitude. When we are grateful for what we have in the present moment, we no longer need to hold on to it out of fear of losing it. Gratitude allows us to appreciate things as they are, without attachment. We can give thanks for the people in our lives, for the moments of joy, and for the simple pleasures without clinging to them. In this way, we cultivate a sense of abundance rather than a sense of scarcity. It's also helpful to reflect on the nature of change. Change is the only constant in life. Nothing stays the same. People grow, seasons shift, and situations evolve. The more we resist change, the more we suffer. When we let go of the need to control everything and accept change as a natural part of life, we can experience greater freedom. We become less attached to specific outcomes, knowing that life will unfold as it's meant to. The process of breaking free from attachment is not easy, and it takes time. We are conditioned by society, culture, and our own desires to hold on to things, believing that they will bring us happiness. But as we practice mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude, we begin to loosen the grip that attachment has on us. Slowly, we can learn to enjoy life without clinging to it, to love without possessiveness, and to find peace without fear of loss. Remember, attachment is not the problem. It's the attachment to attachment that causes suffering. When we learn to let go, we open ourselves to a deeper, more lasting peace. We stop relying on external things for our happiness and start finding it within ourselves. This is the true path to freedom. In the end, breaking free from attachment is not about giving up what we love. It's about finding balance and letting go of the need to control or possess. It's about being fully present in the moment, enjoying life for what it is, and allowing ourselves to grow and change without fear. When we learn to let go of attachment, we create space for greater peace, joy, and freedom in our lives. The path of nonviolence and self-respect. In our fast-paced, sometimes harsh world, we may not always realize how much violence we carry within ourselves. It is not just the big acts of anger or harm, but the little things too. The harsh words, the judgments, the impatience. These things, though they might seem small, have a deep impact on our hearts and minds. They create wounds, not just in others, but in ourselves. True healing, the kind that lasts, requires us to step onto the path of nonviolence, not only in our actions but in our thoughts and words as well. This path of nonviolence is deeply connected to the Buddhist concept of ahimsa, or harmlessness. It's about cultivating a heart that seeks peace, both within and outside. Nonviolence begins with the simple practice of being kind to ourselves. Too often, we are our own harshest critics, judging ourselves for every mistake, flaw, or imperfection. This constant self-criticism is a form of violence that wears down our spirit and keeps us stuck in patterns of guilt and regret. Imagine, instead, that you treated yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. What if you allowed yourself to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and still be gentle with yourself? When we practice nonviolence towards ourselves, we create the space for real healing. We stop fighting against who we are and start embracing ourselves fully as we are. This acceptance is not about letting go of our desire to improve, but rather about allowing ourselves to grow in a nurturing and compassionate environment. Nonviolence in our thoughts and words is just as important. Every judgment we make about others, every harsh thought we entertain, creates negativity within us. These thoughts might feel harmless in the moment, but they build up over time, like layers of dirt that cloud our minds and hearts. When we practice mindfulness, we become aware of these thoughts before they take root. We can choose to let go of the urge to criticize or condemn. Instead, we can replace these thoughts with kindness, understanding, and compassion. In Buddhism, there is a teaching known as the Four Noble Truths. These truths are the foundation of the Buddhist teachings on overcoming suffering. One of these truths is that suffering arises from attachment and craving. We can apply this idea to nonviolence as well. When we are attached to our need to be right, or to our opinions about others, we often act with judgment or even anger. Letting go of these attachments allows us to approach others and ourselves with gentleness and peace. The Buddha teaches that true freedom comes from letting go, not only of external things but of our internal tensions as well. When we hold on to anger or hatred, we are like prisoners, locked in a cage of our own making. When we practice nonviolence, we free ourselves from this cage, allowing peace to flow into our hearts. And when we free ourselves from inner violence, we naturally bring more peace to the world around us. It's a ripple effect that starts within and spreads outward. It is also important to remember that nonviolence is not passive. It is not about being weak or submissive, but about choosing to act from a place of strength. True nonviolence comes from a place of deep wisdom. It arises from understanding that causing harm to others harms ourselves. It comes from recognizing that every action we take, no matter how small, has consequences, and those consequences are often felt far beyond what we can see. The more we practice nonviolence, the more we begin to realize that every moment is an opportunity to choose peace, to choose kindness. Another important aspect of nonviolence is respect. It's about respecting the lives, the feelings, and the needs of others. When we show respect, we acknowledge that we are all connected, all part of the same web of life. In Buddhism, the practice of right speech is deeply connected to nonviolence. Right speech means speaking with honesty, kindness, and consideration for others. It means using words that lift people up, not tear them down. Words are powerful. They can heal or hurt. By choosing our words carefully, we practice nonviolence. At times, practicing nonviolence can feel challenging. We live in a world that often rewards harshness, competition, and aggression. But healing begins when we step off that path and choose a different way. Choosing nonviolence doesn't mean we allow others to walk all over us or let injustice go unchallenged. Nonviolence is not about passivity, but about choosing to respond to situations from a place of wisdom, clarity, and compassion. It means standing up for what is right without adding to the negativity, without feeding into cycles of anger or violence. Nonviolence also calls us to let go of the need to control everything and everyone around us. So much of our inner conflict comes from wanting things to go our way, from trying to force life into a mold that fits our desires. When we stop trying to control and instead allow life to unfold naturally, we experience a deep sense of peace. We learn to trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even when it doesn't look like what we expected. On this path, we also learn to extend nonviolence to our relationships with others. Often, we hurt others because we are caught in our own pain and frustration. But by practicing self-compassion and nonviolence, we stop projecting our inner struggles onto others. We begin to approach our relationships with an open heart, without the need to control or manipulate, and without the fear of being hurt. When we do this, we allow others to be themselves, and we create an environment of mutual respect and understanding. By choosing the path of nonviolence, we also choose to live in alignment with our values. We no longer allow fear, anger, or insecurity to dictate our actions. We respond to life from a place of inner strength and peace. This is the true meaning of respect, not just for others, but for ourselves and for the world around us. Through the practice of nonviolence, we begin to see the beauty and interconnectedness of all life. We realize that every living being, from the smallest insect to the largest animal, has value and purpose. As we practice kindness, compassion, and respect, we strengthen the bonds that unite us all. Nonviolence teaches us that we are all part of a larger whole, and that harming one part harms the entire system. By healing ourselves and choosing nonviolence, we contribute to the healing of the world. Ultimately, the path of nonviolence is a journey of self-discovery. It teaches us to become aware of the subtle ways in which we cause harm, both to ourselves and to others, and to choose a different path. It challenges us to be brave enough to let go of the patterns that no longer serve us, and to step into a way of being that is rooted in compassion, understanding, and peace. As we walk this path, we begin to heal not just ourselves, but the world around us. And in doing so, we find that the more we choose nonviolence, the more peace we create within ourselves, and the more peace we spread to others. Balancing mind, body, and spirit. In the fast-paced world we live in, we often forget to check in with ourselves. We rush from one task to another, constantly pushing our bodies and minds without pausing to ask, am I truly balanced? Am I in harmony with myself? Balancing the mind, body, and spirit is essential for healing naturally, but it's something many of us overlook. Instead of feeling centered and at peace, we can end up feeling scattered, overwhelmed, or disconnected. Balance isn't something that happens by accident. It requires conscious effort and self-awareness. It's easy to forget that the mind, body, and spirit are deeply interconnected. When one of these aspects is out of sync, the others often feel the strain. When your mind is full of stress and worry, your body becomes tense and your spirit feels drained. On the other hand, when your body is weak or sick, it becomes harder for your mind to stay focused and your spirit may feel disconnected. True healing comes from the alignment of these three elements. Let's start with the mind. In Buddhism, the mind is seen as a powerful force. It shapes how we experience the world and how we respond to it. If your mind is clouded with negative thoughts, stress, or anxiety, it's almost impossible to feel at ease. The first step toward balancing the mind is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you learn to observe your thoughts without judgment, without getting caught up in them. This creates space in your mind to let go of worries, fears, and distractions. When you can acknowledge your thoughts without being controlled by them, you gain the freedom to choose how you respond to situations. Mindfulness meditation is a simple but profound practice that helps in this process. By sitting quietly, focusing on your breath, and observing the sensations in your body, you calm the mind and bring it into the present moment. The key here is consistency. The more regularly you practice, the more natural it becomes to return to a peaceful state, even in the chaos of daily life. Meditation isn't just for quiet times. It's a tool you can use throughout the day. Whether you're eating, walking, or interacting with others, mindfulness helps you stay connected to the present moment and allows you to react with clarity and calmness. Now, let's turn to the body. The body is our physical temple, and how we treat it directly affects how we feel emotionally and spiritually. If you neglect your body, it becomes harder to maintain a balanced life. Proper nutrition, exercise, and rest are essential for maintaining physical health, but so is listening to your body. In Buddhism, there is a teaching about right livelihood and right effort, which can be applied to how we care for our bodies. This means doing what is healthy and beneficial for your body, avoiding harmful habits, and listening to what your body truly needs. Take time each day to care for your body, whether it's through simple stretches, walking, yoga, or any other physical activity that feels good. Movement not only keeps the body healthy, but also helps clear the mind. When you're physically active, you release built-up tension and stress. Your body becomes a channel for energy to flow freely, rather than a container of stagnant emotions or physical discomfort. Equally important is rest. Often, in our busy lives, we overlook the importance of sleep or relaxation. Rest allows the body to repair itself and recharge. In Buddhism, there's a practice called samatha, which is about calming the body and mind. This can be as simple as taking time each day to lie down, close your eyes, and rest without distractions. It might also include restorative yoga or gentle breathing exercises to release tension from the body. By nurturing your body in this way, you are providing it with the care it needs to support the other aspects of your well-being. Finally, the spirit. The spirit is the essence of who we are, the part of us that is connected to the universe and all living things. It's the part of us that feels joy, compassion, and love, and it's the aspect of our being that often gets the least attention. In our busy lives, we may neglect our spirit because we're caught up in material concerns or everyday stress. Yet, healing and balance can only come when we nurture our spirit. One of the most important practices for nourishing the spirit is to engage in activities that connect you to something larger than yourself. This can be through nature, art, prayer, or simply being in silence. Buddhism teaches that we are all interconnected, and when we recognize the interconnectedness of life, we tap into a deeper sense of peace and purpose. This realization helps us see that our suffering isn't something we must face alone. We are part of a larger web of life, and by understanding our place in this web, we can find healing. Another powerful way to nurture the spirit is through acts of kindness and compassion. In Buddhism, karuna, compassion, is a fundamental quality. By being compassionate to others, we also nurture compassion within ourselves. It's easy to forget that giving doesn't just mean material things. It can also mean offering kindness, a listening ear, or a helping hand. When we do this, we not only help others but also heal ourselves, because the act of kindness lifts the spirit. Equally important is cultivating a sense of gratitude. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a practice of reflecting on the things we are thankful for each day. Gratitude helps shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, bringing a sense of contentment and peace. Even in difficult times, there is always something to be grateful for. A beautiful sunset, the support of a friend, or even the breath in our lungs. By acknowledging these gifts, we reconnect with the spirit and restore balance within ourselves. Balance, then, is not about perfection. It's not about having everything in its place all the time. Rather, it's about tuning in and being aware. When we are aware of the state of our mind, body, and spirit, we can make conscious choices to bring them into harmony. It's a lifelong practice of noticing when we're out of balance and gently guiding ourselves back to a place of peace. Healing naturally through this balance isn't something that happens overnight. It takes patience, awareness, and commitment. But as you start to bring mindfulness into your daily life, care for your body with respect, and nourish your spirit, you'll begin to feel a sense of alignment. The more you cultivate this balance, the more naturally it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a foundation for your life, a place where you can always return to when the storms of life feel overwhelming. In the end, healing is about returning to your true nature. It's about remembering that your mind, body, and spirit are not separate. They are interconnected, and when they are in balance, you feel whole. This balance isn't a goal to be reached, but a path to be followed, each step bringing you closer to a natural, peaceful, and fulfilled life. Conclusion and reflection on the journey to healing. Welcome, my friend. We have traveled far together, across teachings and practices meant to nurture and heal. This is our final step in this journey, a time to pause, to breathe, and to reflect. Healing is not something that happens overnight or only in moments of peace. It is a path you walk day by day, each step filled with its own quiet strength and purpose. Throughout these teachings, we've explored ways to transform our minds and hearts, to calm the storms within, and to plant seeds of compassion and kindness. We have learned that healing is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. Healing is an endless unfolding of self-discovery and renewal, deeply rooted in the ways we think, feel, and connect with the world around us. In Buddhism, healing begins with understanding, not simply understanding your pain, but also understanding who you truly are beyond the pain. Beneath the surface, you are not merely your thoughts, your past, or your worries. At your core, you are something pure, peaceful, and compassionate. You are like the still water beneath waves, calm and ever-present. When you can recognize this essence within yourself, healing begins to flow naturally. Let's reflect on some of the simple yet profound steps we have discussed and take them deeply to heart. In each of these steps, there is a gentle wisdom, a timeless insight that reminds us that we are enough, as we are, to begin healing right now. Think of mindfulness. It is a practice that teaches us to return to the present moment, to be fully alive here and now. When you breathe mindfully, when you walk mindfully, or even eat mindfully, you are giving yourself a gift. You are reminding yourself that life is happening now, and you have the power to experience it fully. Healing requires us to be present. Each moment is a chance to release worry and just be. It's as simple as breathing, as simple as noticing the warmth of the sun or the beauty of a flower. Compassion is another powerful tool for healing. We often carry pain and anger toward others, or even toward ourselves. But when we practice compassion, we allow ourselves to soften, to forgive, and to let go of those heavy burdens. Compassion is a balm for the soul. It is a way to free ourselves from bitterness and hurt. When we extend compassion to others, we are also extending it to ourselves. We are acknowledging our shared humanity, our shared struggles. With compassion, we heal not only our own hearts, but also the hearts of others. Now, consider letting go of attachments. Much of our suffering comes from clinging to things that are, by their nature, impermanent. We cling to ideas, people, and experiences, expecting them to last forever. But nothing in life is permanent. Just as seasons change, so too must we learn to release our grip on what is passing. Letting go is not easy. It is a gentle art that requires practice and patience. But when we let go, we find a lightness, a freedom that is impossible to achieve through holding on. Gratitude and contentment are essential elements of natural healing. In a world that constantly tells us to want more, to be more, and to do more, we can find peace by simply appreciating what we have. Gratitude is a way to ground ourselves in what is real and what is good. It reminds us that even in difficult times, there is always something to be thankful for. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our perspective from lack to abundance, from wanting to being, from chasing to resting. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that healing is a gentle process. There will be days when you feel progress, and days when you feel that old wounds still linger. This is natural. Healing is not a straight line. It is a dance of falling down and rising again, of finding strength in vulnerability. Allow yourself to be patient. Give yourself the compassion that you would offer to a dear friend. The path to healing is a kind path. It asks only that you walk it with an open heart. You are capable of finding peace within yourself. You are capable of seeing beauty in ordinary moments. You are capable of feeling a deep, unshakable joy that does not depend on anyone or anything outside of yourself. This journey has shown you that true healing begins with understanding, compassion, mindfulness, and letting go. It is a journey of the heart, a journey back to yourself. As you continue, carry these teachings with you. Make them a part of your everyday life, even in the smallest ways. Remember, healing is not something you do only when you are broken. It is a daily practice that keeps you whole and strong. It is a reminder that you have within you all that you need to heal, to grow, and to thrive. Thank you for joining me on this journey, for being open and willing to explore these teachings. If this path has brought you peace, if you have found value in these reflections, please share this with others who might also benefit from it. There are so many viewers who come to learn, but only 0.2% have subscribed. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. By doing so, you are helping to bring these teachings to those who need them. Thank you for being part of this journey, and may you continue to walk with peace, healing, and happiness.